Welcome to Stone Family Homestead. My name is Tanya, and I have a few easy dinner ideas that we had this week. I hope that you enjoy them, and thank you for watching. Tonight for dinner, we're gonna have chicken croissant wreath. What you'll need is a cup of cheese, can of cream of chicken soup, can of water chestnuts, 2 roll things of croissants, and some broccoli. I've already chopped my chicken up. I will chop the broccoli up and bring you back once we start mixing everything. I added the chicken to the bowl. Next we'll add the onion. We did end up dicing up about 1/4 of an onion, so we're gonna add that in. And then we'll add the cup of cheese. And then we'll add, only did about half the package of the broccoli. Add that in. Don't worry, the cutting board I just used the same one that I had cut the chicken up on. Then we'll add the water chestnuts. And then the cream of chicken soup. Now you'll mix it till everything's incorporated and coated with the cream of chicken soup. And also, while you're getting everything ready, you would want to preheat your oven to 375 degrees. So make sure everything is mixed and incorporated well. And then I will show you how we'll assemble get the croissants ready to make the wreath form. Next, I opened one of you'd want to grease your pan, and then I did open one of the tubes of croissants. We'll unroll it onto here, and then take each one, put the point out to the edge. And you want to form it in a circle, overlapping a little bit of the point because that's where the filling will go on to. And then you'll repeat this with both tubes until you have a full
circle.
And then once the circle is complete, then we'll start putting the filling in. And I'll come back once we have these all laid out and show you that step. Now that we got them all laid out, we'll spoon the filling over the wide end portion and spread it evenly throughout, so that way so every piece gets some of the deliciousness. Once you get all the filling evenly spread throughout, you'll take the tips and tuck them back under the wide end of each
and every one.
Covering up a little bit of the filling. And then once you get all these tucked under, then you bake it in the oven at 375 degrees for 20 to 25 minutes until the croissants are golden brown. And come back, I'll bring you back once we have it all, once it's done baking.
Plate it up.
And we'll see you then. And this is what it looks like once we have all the ends tucked underneath and ready to go in the oven. Here's how the croissant wreath looks as we take it out when we took it out of the oven. We'll cut it up and enjoy it. Tonight for dinner we're gonna be making lasagna. I am going to use Italian sausage in with the meat, along with some pepper and onion. Then I have some canned marinara, mozzarella cheddar cheese, and some oven ready lasagna noodles. Now that I got most of the sausages starting to brown up, I'm gonna add it. I added in the peppers and onions to saute and start cooking down. I'll cook them along with the sausage until they're translucent and the sausage is browned up. Now that all the meat is browned and cooked through and the onions are translucent, I'm going to add most of the jar of marinara or spaghetti sauce to the meat. I'll leave a little bit left in the jar for on the bottom of the cake pan or 9x13 pan. I'll just mix this in, let it simmer for a little bit. That way all the flavors can mix up and meld together and get all the goodness off the bottom. But I'll let that simmer for probably 3 to 5 minutes. So to assemble it, I am going to put some of the spaghetti sauce on the bottom of the pan. I'll put a little extra just to make sure there's enough liquid to get the noodles cooked. And then I will take the pan and just make sure it's evenly spread throughout. Alright, I'm going to use up the last little bit that I had of the Barilla oven ready, so they may look a little bit different, but still close to the same. Just trying to get used up what I have before we start a new round. Trying to remember how I did it last time. I think I did 2 that way. I must have had to break one in. Try to break it in half. Doesn't always work the best. Alright, there we go. And then if you do have ricotta cheese, now would be the time to put it on. Otherwise, I'm going to put a layer of the meat sauce on top of the noodles that we just made. Like I said, unfortunately, I don't have any ricotta cheese or cottage cheese. I thought I'd grab some, and I didn't. Naughty me. But spread a thin layer out and about. And then on top of that, you'll put some shredded mozzarella cheese, and I put the cheddar cheese as well, as I enjoy it cheesy. And then once we get this topped, then we'll put another layer of noodles and keep repeating. Once I have it done, I'll show you what it looks like with all the layers. Otherwise, you can also put vegetables I've done, like zucchini. Cook some of that up. You can put in with the meat sauce. Get some little bit more vegetables, like I said, zucchini or summer squash, or even carrots, I suppose you could grate up and just give it a little bit of a sweeter taste. And then we'll go see how the cremette lasagna noodles work. These are all nice and whole, not broken like the Barilla. Not sure if there's much of a taste difference or texture, but we'll find out. I guess we'll have to go the other way. Bloop. Oopski bloopski. Baby oopskies. Alright, I guess I did have the ricotta cheese, so we're going to make the ricotta cheese mixture. With that, we'll use a full 15-ounce container of ricotta cheese, an egg, Italian seasoning, Parmesan cheese, and some black pepper. So in a bowl, we'll mix the ricotta cheese with the egg. Oh, that's okay, bud. Oh, leave the spoon in the bowl. And then we'll crack the egg in.
Bubble yogurt again.
Yep. And then it's about a 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese. And then a teaspoon or so of Italian seasoning. And
Pepper.
a little bit of cracked pepper.
You can put as much pepper on as you want. It doesn't hurt if you want to put a little salt on.
No, you don't want salt because the cheese and that's all salty. Then we'll mix it up until everything's all combined. Alright, and this is what it looks like once we got it all mixed together, and then we'll take some of it and scoop it on top of the noodles. Probably about 1/3, half to 1/3 of it. We'll put on this layer.
And the rest we'll put on the other.
Yep, and then we'll put some meat sauce on this layer. There that layer is with the ricotta cheese. And we'll put a little bit of the meat sauce on top. That way the noodles will get completely cooked through. I'm going to put just a little bit of mozzarella cheese in with it too. Yes. And then I'll put another layer of the noodles, followed by some of the ricotta cheese, and keep repeating it till I'm out of all ingredients or space in the pan. On the top layer of noodles, I'm just putting a thin layer of the sauce on top, and then I will top them with the cheese and cover it for a little bit. Put it in the oven at 350 degrees, and then check it after a while, after it's been in there for at least a half an hour, 45 minutes. Alright, I didn't quite have enough sauce, so I did grab some other spaghetti sauce that I had in the fridge. Just added a little bit extra on top to make sure all the noodles were coated before I put the cheese on. Just like that. And we top it with more mozzarella. Whoop. More mozzarella. And some more cheddar cheese.
Pizza!
this is what it's gonna look like when I put it in the oven. I'll just put some, like I said, some tin foil on top or aluminum foil, whichever way you wish to call it. And bake it. And once it's almost done, the noodles are just about tender, I will remove the foil from the top and let it brown up just a little bit. Here's what the lasagna looks like once it came out of the oven, and we did make some garlic bread to go along with it. Hope you enjoy tonight's dinner. Today we're gonna make a beef roast in the crock pot, kind of a knockoff of the Mississippi pot roast, except for I'm gonna use onion soup mix, brown gravy, ranch, and pepperoncinis, and then I have a 3 to 4 pound chuck roast. I'll bring you into, I'm gonna put it in the crock pot and let it slow cook all day. Right now it's a little after 10:30 in the morning. We probably won't eat dinner till 5 to 6 o'clock tonight, so it'll be nice fall apart roast. Alright, this is optional, but with my slow cooker I do have the option to sear, so I am gonna put it on that, and then I will sear both sides of the roast before I add the rest of the ingredients. I'm just gonna wait till it warms up. Now that it is preheated, I'm gonna put just a little drizzle of avocado oil in the bottom before I put the roast in to help. I'm just spreading the oil so it's evenly coated for the most part on the bottom. This way we can get a nice good sear on the roast. And that is what you want to hear when you put it in, is a nice sizzle. I am going to season the other side with just a little bit of pepper and a touch of salt, because all the other seasonings that we're going to add on top are going to have a lot of salt in them, so we don't want to make it overly salty. And then just let it sear for a few minutes and then we'll flip it over. Alright, it's been searing for about 3 minutes on the one side. Starting to get some good color on it. And we'll flip it over and let it sear on the next side for another 3 to 4 minutes before we add any more seasonings to it. Alright, it's been browning on the other side for a few minutes. Now we're going to add the onion soup mix. Just a packet of that on top and around. Do that. We'll add about a packet's worth of brown gravy. A little more, a little less, however you like. And then I add about a packet's worth of ranch seasoning, or a few tablespoons. And then on top of that, I'll add a couple pepperoncinis in. Along with a little bit of the juice. And I'll probably add a tablespoon or two of butter that I have sitting out. I know I didn't show that earlier, but so add a couple tablespoons of butter in. And I'll put a cup or so of water just to get it started so nothing burns on. And then I'm going to switch it off from searing down to slow cook. I have it cooking on high for now to start, and then I'll probably drop it down to low later on. I'll see you guys once it's done and we're ready for